Hey everyone, it's Kayla. So just wanted to show or share some exciting news that I have. I am trying to get into nursing school. As some of you know, I've been in college for an extremely long time. I went right to college right after high school, and hi, that's Madison. So I started going to one of the universities here in Maine. And I went for 2 years, got pregnant with my first daughter, and finished out that semester right after I had her, and then stopped for about a year. Didn't really go for anything, I guess liberal arts maybe. Mostly did like core classes and then a lot of art because I thought I was going to be an artist. That was a great idea. So after that I went back to school and I went to go get my business degree. So I did 2 years of that, and then after that, I got pregnant with my second daughter and decided 2 days before she was born that I was going to go and try to go for nursing. So I did the HESI A2 exam, passed with flying colors, got into the exam, got into the course, and then I decided that that wasn't the school for me, even though I would have had my BSN within like 3 years. So I decided to go to another school. In order to get into the nursing program for that school, they don't accept HESI A2. Instead, they do the PAX RN exam. So the way that one worked, you had 40 minutes per section. You had math, verbal, and science. And you had 40 minutes per one to complete all the questions that you possibly can. They only have 60 questions for verbal, 40 for math, and 60 for science. For me, when I got my scores, I actually did decent, I guess. I mean, I wish I had done better, but I know it's a fairly difficult exam. I got a composite score of 130, so I got 87th percentile for everything. Verbal was actually more challenging than what I had anticipated. There was like no real way for me to study to understand some of these words I've never heard of before. Some of them are actually easy. The math section did beautifully. I probably got 93% of the questions correct. It was all basic algebra, fractions, decimals, some equations, figure out what x is if y is this. And then there were some like figure out what the triangle is and what the rectangle is, and you have to know your equations for that. So like rectangle, 2L plus 2W equals blah blah blah, the area, perimeter, whatever you want to call it. So anyways, and the science was probably the most challenging for me. Some of the questions were piece of cake and some of them are like, I don't know, I never took physics. I did take chemistry. Chemistry is not my forte. So anyways, I bought this pre-entrance exam RN book that's actually made by the National League of Nursing, who does the exam. And this book was a godsend, absolute godsend. And what I did was I took the exam March 2nd, and sometime in January I bought this book and I started studying it. And I studied all science. That's all I studied for up until the week before. And then I started looking, okay, I'll do my math and just make sure I have everything okay. Brushed up my equations and things like that. And then the last few days I did mostly verbal and science. The verbal and the science, some of the questions that were in this book were on my test. Not many at all. But I knew that those few points helped me to get into the passing score. For my school, I had to have at least 70th percentile composite. So you needed at least 50 per section. So 50 verbal, 50 math, and 50 science. And then on average, they needed to be at least 70 or above. So I got 87th percentile. I was fine. I'm still waiting on my confirmation letter to start nursing this fall. But honestly, this book was so helpful. I really recommend purchasing it or seeing if there was another student there that has it that you can just buy it off of. I paid $15 for mine off another student. I also took my cell phone and I got different apps that helped me study, like 10 questions a day. Nothing much, but it was a little bit of help. For the verbal section, you have 6 passages for 5 questions per passage. So I really recommend taking your time on those and seeing if you can quickly skim through the questions to figure out what you have and what you're actually looking for. After that, you have 30 like word knowledge, I guess, and you have to figure out what words mean. I remember one of the questions was the knight threw down his gauntlet preparing for a fight. What's a gauntlet? And it was like sword, shield, glove, and something else, and it ended up being the glove, and that was in my book, that was on my test. It may not be for you, but you never know. For my science, my school sets up practicing sessions, and they're 2 hours each, and she goes over practice tests and explains why that's the answer. So she was explaining like proteins are built up of amino acids, and that's basically a protein. And we discussed, how RNA is DNA and et cetera, et cetera. Those really helped. I also took the tea preparation ones. I figured science is not going to hurt me. If anything, it will help me, and it really did. So yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. You really should study just in case, at least just to brush up on it. And like I said, I did study exams with the school, so I knew what kind of questions would be on there. Nothing for the verbal section asked, what's a noun, what's a pronoun, what's a verb, what's an adverb, nothing like that. It was purely, what does this word mean in this sentence? Fairly easy. And then for the science, I just took the tests over and over and over, every single one. And then the day of, I went 3 hours before the test just to study everything. Just to go and get as much information shoved in my brain before the exam. While I did this, I chewed mint gum, because apparently mint or spearmint help you recall information if you chewed it at that time, and chewing it again, it just helps you. Just helps. So I did that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm going to try my best to post videos about if I get into the program, and then what's it like and how my first semester goes and things like that, because hey, that's what I did when I decided to go to nursing school. I just watched so many videos to see what the experience was like. So if you have any questions, feel free to post below and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Thanks!